The pandemic really gave us our first break. DICE has been operating for 3 years, and computer vision is a subject that we've been trying to introduce at Avery Dennison for a while now. But really, with the onset of the pandemic, was when we saw an opportunity for let's say, enabling some use cases. So the basic stuff, mask detection, making sure that our people are safe and the operating procedures are being followed, and social distance measurement. These are the first things that we implemented. That discussion kind of led to a broader conversation about how we improve safety in our manufacturing facilities, and that led us to implementing use cases like ensuring that people are wearing the right protective equipment when they're on the shop floor, mapping the path of the forklift as it moves around the space to ensure that the human forklift interaction, and possibility of injury is minimized. Also looking at monitoring areas where there's a possible opportunity of a person getting hurt because things tip or fall on them, and more mundane things like making sure that people are holding the handrail when they're moving up or down a set of stairs. And the idea here was not per se to penalize individuals, but actually look at the effectiveness of the training and the procedures that we've got set up in our sites to make sure that they're being as effective as we want them to be. Because we're very, very serious about safety. We want zero incidents. Most of our sites operate that way. It's kind of a big thing for us. And this is stuff that this is work that I'm actually personally very excited about. We've moved from safety, also looking at quality. So this is this should give you an idea of the material that we produce. So I said we make big rolls of paper, but that's not always what we sell to customers. We cut them into these little pieces we call cheeses, because they look like a roll of cheese. And then we're doing things like making sure that the width and dimensions that are printed on the label that's pasted on the cheese are actually the same as the size of the object itself. Making sure that our packaging is appropriate. We put our stuff on pallets. Sometimes it's standing up, sometimes it's laying down, but we need to make sure that it is centered and packaged appropriately, because we're going to give it to a shipping company that's going to take it to our customer. We want to make sure we do everything that by the time it leaves our facility, that it has the best chance of getting to the customer intact. The last one is a combination of both quality and automation, where we're trying to eliminate the manual scanning of the labels on our cheeses by using optical character recognition and image segmentation to identify individual cheeses and then read the contents of those labels. Right. Now, this, what I've presented is maybe one part of what we do within DICE, right? So computer vision is one of the emerging technologies that we're trying to introduce. And as with any innovation, there's a lot of challenges. We've been operating for 3 years, and it's been a hard-fought journey to get to a point where we're recognized as experts and leaders in the space, and people really come to us now with problems and opportunities that they want us to co-create solutions for with them. So what I'm going to be presenting now is a few of these hard-learned lessons and tips that hopefully will help you make big leaps and changes for your organizations as well. The first thing that I will talk about is the need for education and communication. Emerging technology, especially, when you go to somebody who doesn't know anything about the subject that you're referring to, well, their first response is going to be reticence, skepticism, or outright refusal. So the first thing to do is to educate your audience, to communicate to them what your solution is, what the technology is, what you're doing, what is possible, so that they have a better understanding. And the more we understand something, the more likely we are to accept it. So at Avery Dennison, through DICE, we have a very robust communication channel. We do webinars, we do live showcases, we do tech talks, and we do outreach programs, just so that we can elevate let's say the digital technology information quotient for the organization. And we also do target communications to our, let's say, functional and business leaders, just to make sure that they're aware of the latest tools that are available out there to solve problems and to capitalize on opportunities. The second thing I want to talk about is to make your value proposition tangible. I talked about this a little bit yesterday in the panel, and I mean this in 2 or 3 different ways. The first thing that I'm talking about is when you have a solution, your let's say stakeholder, the person you're trying to sell them to, they may not necessarily understand it because you're talking to them in the way that you understand something and not in the way that they do. Right, so a lot of times in organizations, everything is looked at from a cost versus benefit ratio, right? So that's what that's where you need to spend some time to bridge that gap between what your solution means, what is the value that it will create for your stakeholder. So if I can give you an example of what we've done, I showed a few use cases about employee safety. And what we did there in order to actually get started with that use case was we took the amount of, or the impact of one person from every shift being removed over a month, and we extrapolated that over the whole year and looked at what would the loss be in terms of the production capacity loss, just one person being removed from every shift. And that came up to a big enough number that our stakeholder was very, very happy to actually invest in the solution, because they could see how much money we would save them by ensuring that at least non-critical injuries did not happen, or there was a reduction in them. The other thing I mean by making it tangible is also not just theorizing, but giving people something that they can put their arms around, things that they can play with. So we use a lot of prototyping tools to build mock-ups even before we have a solution, so that we can put something out there in front of people, get feedback from them, and we're co-creating. We're never kind of going away and building something on our own and then coming back 3 months later and showing somebody something that they may not want anymore. But we're involving our user very, very early on and throughout the process that we work on. So this next tip is about how you go about creating success, right? So you should always dream big. You should always have that true north, that end state, because that defines your strategy. But the way that we do it within Avery Dennison and through DICE is by starting in small increments. And we always start there at the bottom, right, where the value is low, and you want to get there, right, where the value is high. Over time, you want to be able to get there. And the way we do it is we start by creating starting up small lighthouse projects that build on top of each other. So we use an MVP kind of startup like agile approach. And eventually, we're able to then turn those, light the path, turn that into a rocket ship that takes us to that state. So the employee safety use cases that I've talked about, that's how we started. We started with one use case in one site in Asia, and now we've actually rolled it out across all of Asia. It doesn't always work. I mean, I think I mentioned this yesterday. One of the failures we've had is being able to deploy the same solution in Europe because of, reticence from our leadership because of GDPR and data privacy regulations. But, that's also a learning. We just have to approach that from a different perspective. The key thing to take away here is, not be deterred by how big the effort it might be to do something. Break into small pieces, think like a startup, work like a startup, show that entrepreneurial spirit, and you're definitely going to get the solution you're looking for. Now, one other thing that I forgot to mention, maybe about I'm going to go back here, about making it tangible. When I talk about value, right, and when I talk about that big picture, one thing that we've found, it's a psychology trick, but it might work for you. When you go to somebody and you present them your big picture, you might be asking for, let's say, a few $100,000 or $1 million, right, to implement your solution, take it to the end state. And when they say no, you tell them, okay, just give me 10,000. Or just give me 50,000 to do that MVP. I guarantee you every single time you're going to get a yes the second time, because you've already told them that there's this big $1 million thing, and they're going to say no to that, but then they'll see the 50,000, which is maybe a small fraction of what you're trying to get, right? And you still know that you're going to be following that big vision, you're building incrementally, and you are guaranteed to get a yes. Right, so keep that in mind the next time you're trying to pitch an idea to someone. Right, this one. I'm not trying to be controversial, but what I mean by that is you shouldn't let a lack of information, a lack of data, stop you from starting out. In fact, what you should do is build data collection into a feature in your MVP. This is exactly what we've done for the pallet use case I showed earlier. What we did was we started out with very little data. The first thing we did, we installed a camera inside the packaging line. We trained an accessory model to identify when there was a pallet and made it take pictures. And then after that, we built a system. We put a screen in front of the operator that was operating the pallet machinery. And every so often, we would give this person let's say the result of what our initial model was saying, whether or not the pallet was centered or it was incorrectly packaged, and we asked the user to provide us feedback. And we created a pipeline that allowed us to use that data immediately to retrain the model, and then progressively over time, our model started to build. So never be kind of stopped by the fact that you don't have data. Use your, let's say, you're all smart people. Use smart techniques to generate that data that you need and keep moving forward. The last thing that I'm going to say is about using and leveraging your network. And when I say your network, I don't just mean your network of friends and colleagues at work, but I also mean your network of partners and any external ecosystem that you can tap into. Avery Dennison is a very heavily matrixed organization. And if any of you work in a matrixed organization, yourselves, you know that there's this concept of soft power, meaning you have to always get things done without a lot of authority, and that's where your network helps. If you need support for a business idea, find that one stakeholder that is sympathetic to your, the outcome that you're trying to achieve, and have them help you influence their peers to make the decision that you want. If you don't know which kind of technology or what kind of platform, what kind of solution it is that you want to use to solve a certain problem, or you don't even have the resources. I mean, we all work with a lot of IT service providers. Leverage them, because they're definitely working with other customers, solving similar problems to the ones that you have, and they can help you get started, get moving very, very quickly, and find support where you can get it. So all of that up there again, just for reference, because I was doing a lot of talking and there were just pictures on the slides. And the last thing I'm going to say, the most important thing really, is to always have fun, right? Remember why you got into this. Keep that always in sight. So I think I went through my presentation really, really quickly. So I thank you all for listening, and happy to answer any questions there might be. If there are no questions, then I'm going to exit the stage. Oh, there are. Hi.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes, thank you very much for such a nice presentation. I have a very quick question, and that is regarding the data that you mentioned here. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that whatever your data you have, you should just start it. The understanding is that while you are developing computer vision problems, mm-hmm. then it is a data-hungry problems, isn't it? Okay, and what you just suggested seems to be a kind of conflict of the computer vision problem solution. So how would you justify it?
So, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that if you have poor data, build data collection into your solution. So I'm not saying that you have to be, let's say, you have to be very specific to your audience, to your stakeholders, about the quality of what it is that you're producing. Your first MVP is never going to be the thing that delivers the end state value that you're looking for. But if you do your change management and your communication right, they are aware of what it is that you're able to deliver at a certain point. And because you're collecting data incrementally and also cyclically improving your solution, they will see the improvement in the quality of your solution, and they will be able to recognize why you've gone the way that you've gone. What I meant by that slide, that particular slide, was that, okay, if you don't have the data, don't use that as a reason to not start. Get started, get moving, find ways to keep on progressing, because that's kind of the important thing. You need to start. If you don't take that first step, you're never going to get to the end, right? So that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. One comment I would like to mention here, like mm-hmm. in case of what you have just mentioned, mm-hmm. The latest AI mode is towards using transfer learning or one-shot learning. Okay, did you actually have any chance, or have you got any plan in this work to use kind of transfer learning or one-shot learning while you are struggling for the data?
So all of the use cases that I demonstrated, they all used transfer learning. Okay. So we've used open source models like YOLO to actually do the, especially the initial use cases where we're detecting people. We're not building those. We're okay. leveraging existing models to do those. And then we've trained the model specifically to recognize the PPE that we use, and also the models where we're looking at our cheeses. Mm-hmm. We're using YOLO, and then we're creating additional classes to help identify our particular product.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'd like to understand about what type of prototyping tools you use, and probably I might have a follow-up question based on that.
So for the for the UI, do you mean, or for?
Yeah. So to make it a bit more tangible,
okay,
you're suggesting that we do some sort of prototypes.
Yeah.
So what does that prototype basically have, and what kind of tools would you be using to do that? Is it like only application development, or?
No, we use a lot of low-code tools. So there's a this is not a product advertisement, by the way, but just we use a product called OutSystems that allows us to really quickly build the UI prototypes that we have. And I have a team of data scientists and ML engineers who create the let's say the web service API. We integrate the web service API into the user interface. And then, I mean, or where even when we don't use OutSystems, we use things like Fast API or Flask to just really very quickly build a very simple solution that orchestrates what the solution is, what our product is going to do. Because at the end of the day, we're building a data product, and the first iteration might just be a screen with a button and a box that shows you the inference, and then it develops from there. So your prototype doesn't have to be really fancy or very complicated. Just the simplest thing that communicates the message that you need to convey and shows the kind of value or the inference that's being provided. Even that's enough to get your message across.
So the follow-up question would be, what if the AI solution which we are designing maybe it can't be implemented because there are some cases where AI solutions just don't work.
Yeah, so we've had that also, and that is why I talked about building in increments, because involving your customer really like from the start, your SME from the start, because there will be some effort lost. While you get to that first inference, you have to be really, let's say, manic about how much time you're going to spend on something. And I think we talked about lean startup yesterday. So the lean startup methodology, I recommend, by the way, everybody here to read that book. Again, not a product plug. I'm not getting paid by them, by Eric Ries or his corporation. But I just love the way that they've kind of organized how innovation works. They have this concept of a persevere or perish meeting, and we follow that every month or every so often. We're going to have that discussion to say, okay, we spent this effort. Do we want to continue spending this effort because we see light at the end of the tunnel? We're going to be able to get a leap from here, or we're going to decide, okay, that's it. We're going to dissolve this experiment, and we're going to move on to another one because we cannot identify something that that works. But doesn't always it isn't always so easy. I can give you an example of an experiment where we spent 8 months trying to find different ways to do something, but at the end we decided that we couldn't do it. We were trying to identify what kind of fabric label. If we could predict the color of 2 different dyes that would make a certain fabric, but that technically it's not possible because of the lack of, let's say, lack of understanding, at least on our part. We don't work in textile, right? So we put that on hold. We stopped working on that, but we did spend the 8 months. That's a lot of learning that we had. We're able to apply to other places. So you always learn something, but sometimes you just got to say, okay, yeah, this is sunk cost. We can't do anything about it. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karan, for a nice presentation. So as I understand from your presentation, like computer vision solutions is not your main technology development area, but it's kind of a innovation driven.
Sorry, I can't.
The computer vision solutions that you presented in your slides there.
Yeah.
So were they part of the main technology development of the organization, or was it kind of a part of some innovation drive?
So, like from an organizational perspective, computer vision or any other emerging technology, right, is an accessory technology. For us, our main business is manufacturing those big rolls of paper, right? So, what we're doing within IT is supporting that and supporting everything that, the end-to-end kind of whatever we can do to facilitate the end-to-end process. DICE, as an organization, we operate on the idea of creating solutions across the 4 experiences that we have. So the customer, the product, the factory, and the employee. So the computer vision solutions would fall under both customer experience and factory experience, directly under factory experience because they have a direct impact on the effectiveness of our production process, and in sort of a knock-on effect, accessory effect on the customer experience, because if we're improving the quality of the product that goes out to the customer has less, let's say, quality issues. They're returning material to us less. They are more confident in the quality of the product we supply to them. So that's how we kind of operate. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. So just adding to that, actually, so continuing further into the future, so do you already have a kind of a roadmap of the CV, within the scope of CV? Any solutions or products actually you see there?
No, so we actually have a very robust pipeline. In 2023, DICE is going to be placing, let's say, a couple of big bets. One of those bets is computer vision, because we see the value in it. We see traction within the organization. I talked about education as my first kind of tip, right? So what education also does is establish you as an expert. And sometimes you're far ahead of where the rest of the organization is. What we see now is things that we've kind of promoted within our organization up to a year already ago. They're coming back to us because now they see, hey, there's an opportunity here, but they're coming to DICE because DICE was the team that was talking to them about it. But back to what we're placing our bets on. So computer vision, XR, so augmented reality, mixed reality, and virtual reality, and natural language, natural language processing, natural language understanding, generative AI. Those are the things that we're going to be focusing on in 2023, because we see that these things are going to be the real big drivers of change, both within our organization and also externally for our customers.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you all for listening, and Tim, back to you.